what would you say is your most difficult plant to grow?
I don't know if it's difficult, but cilantro is definitely my most labor intensive. like like I have a tray of cilantro here, but it's the most labor intensive.
Yeah, do you go by Joel or Joel?
I like Joel.
Joel? All right.
And how about you?
I'm Joshua from OarsLand. So you can call me Josh if you like. Either one's fine. I just introduce myself as Joshua because sometimes people don't understand when I say Josh. So
yeah,
my Midwest accent, I guess. So
Josh,
yeah.
Okay.
How's it going today?
Good. Pretty good. It's a nice day outdoors and nice day for the green. So everything's looking good.
Definitely. I'm definitely admiring that Cali weather. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, so I have to grow everything indoors. We don't have that climate that you all have all year round.
Yeah, right now it's beautiful. It's like 73 outside. It's perfect microgreen weather, so
nice.
You can just do it outdoors.
Yeah, so I wanted to reach out to you to ask you a few questions about what it's like being a micro farmer and selling microgreens, because it's popular, but a lot of people don't grow them at volume the way companies like yours and myself does. So I definitely just wanted to pick your brain and see what you have going on and see have you talk about some of the communities and the markets that you sell to, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I guess you could start off with I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Joshua from OarsLand. OarsLand is just kind of like a play on the movie Castaway. Tom Hanks trying to build a boat to get off the island, whereas I was frustrated with the produce and vegetables that we had here during the winter months, and I was like, I wish I could hop in a canoe, and once I got to some deserted island, I would stick the boat oar in the sand and call it OarsLand. So it's kind of like there's a lot of Tom Hanks.
That's cool.
Thank you. There's a lot of Tom Hanks references to that whole logo and the brand story. But yeah, so I started the company back in 2013, and we started off as a cosmetics company doing body butters and soaps, and then we started the microgreens and leafy greens around 2015, and we just transformed into a health food grocery store. So we sell at farmers markets and deliver to restaurants out here. And we're looking to get into the direct-to-consumer market, but we're still working on that. I've been doing a lot of reading on you. I love your content, love your greens. You have a beautiful greenhouse and obviously have a green thumb. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Vitality Microfarms?
Yeah, awesome. That was a great story. I loved hearing about it. But about Vitality Microfarms, I guess it started when I was in college. I went to school for like health science, but at the time, I didn't really know what I just kind of took a lot of general classes like health, exercise, food. And I really liked the food and nutrition classes a lot. And, and then one day, like my brother came up to me. He's like, hey, like, have you heard of this thing called aquaponics? He's like, let's try to build one. I'm like, all right, let's do it. That sounds like so cool. And he was telling me about all this. And we were just like, so we decided just to build one. We made like a little system out of like a 60-gallon fish tank and like an old kiddie pool just to see if it worked. Because at the time we didn't even know, like, can plants just grow in rocks? Like, is that a thing? Like, I don't know. Like, so we tried it out and it worked awesome. We grew like a bunch of lettuces and herbs and stuff like that. And we're like, all right, let's build another one. So we decided to build a bigger one. And then as I was doing this process, I was asking to volunteer at like this big aquaponics farm in Brea. And then he said, no, we're not taking any volunteers, but if you go to college, then you can volunteer with this program. So I contacted the professor and she's like, come in. And I just talked to her and she got me in. And it was just like, I didn't even know it was like a grant opportunity, but basically I got like a grant from my college to do like agriculture research. And I just felt like I was just like another positive sign that I was happy with what I was doing. It was like something I was like always like researching and playing around with. And so not to go play like kind of play, but research on like a big farm was really cool. And then so pretty much I did that. And after I graduated, I was kind of just on my own. My brother started working on a different field, got a full-time job. So I started working on my own. I continued the whole agriculture thing. And yeah, so after college, I know I wanted to do agriculture. I wanted to grow something. I just didn't have the space to grow. So what I did was I told some of my friends, and one of my friends was like, hey, my mom has like, I think it's like, I don't know. It's a pretty decent sized backyard. It's this one I'm at right now. It's basically, I asked them to rent the backyard. So I rented the backyard and I started, I tried different things out. I was trying to do like quails at first. I was trying to do the whole aquaponic thing. I was trying to do, I did house plants and succulents for a while, but I really wanted to do like the whole food and health nutrition thing. So I went back to the microgreens, and yeah, microgreens was a great option for me because I liked how beneficial it was like for the health community, and how like when I was able to provide for the community and stuff. And I loved growing them, and I got really inspired. What really set me over the edge to like start selling them was when I watched this. Have you heard of Justin Gay, Seeds of Xanadu on YouTube? He's a microgreens grower right here in Fontana, which is like 30 minutes from me.
How do you
He was
spell
like
your name?
Justin Gay. That's his last name. You could just type it in on YouTube, and he was really the one who kind of like set me over the edge to like, all right, like this is like I could do this, like I could do this with what I got in my space, like I could start growing microgreens and going to markets and try to sell them to people. So I did that, and I took a while to like master how to grow them. But yeah, after about 9 months of like being in and out, like I don't know, but then finally just jumped into it. I got some samples ready, went to some restaurants first. Instead of like typically people go to farmers market first, I kind of did it backwards. I went to restaurants first, and I got my first restaurant. Like I got really lucky that way. So it was like a vegan restaurant, and they're like, yeah. And they ordered. And then after that, I went to like 4 other restaurants, and they all said, yeah, put us on. And I got them on. And then from there, I've just been growing, adding more restaurants. And now I'm at a farmer's market, really trying to get direct to consumer so I can kind of like diversify my income. And in the future, I definitely want to get into grocery stores. I think that'd be a great avenue for microgreens.
That is great. And you touched on aquaponics. Actually, so both sides of my family were sharecroppers. My mother's from Louisiana, my dad's from Missouri. So I had during the summers in the 80s and 90s, I would be on my hands and knees picking and weeding. And as I became an adult, I'm a software developer, and amongst other things. So I was always telling people, hey, in the next 5 years, I'm going to be just a full-time farmer. And it was kind of a thing. And, when I finally did it, I was like, when I wanted to hop in that canoe and go to a deserted island, I was like, all right, I'm not going to farm like my grandparents did. And I actually was on YouTube, and I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I actually started with aquaponics in the little supply closet off the deck. And that's how I got started. So when my wife and I bought our house in 2015, that's when I really started to scale. And unfortunately, I was not able to scale the aquaponics that I want to, because I do goldfish and tilapia, and I still have some of those systems. But just trying to run your life and manage your finances, I just was like, okay, it's just kind of always been on the back burner. But I do have a partner that has an aquaponics farm, and I saw a lot of your stuff, and you definitely are killing it with the aquaponics. But obviously, as you and I know, a head of lettuce, like whether it's romaine or bib, takes 8 weeks versus 10 days with microgreens is gonna, the margins are just much better. And you obviously are very knowledgeable about the nutrition density of these greens and selling. And would you say that you obviously sell more microgreens, or are you still doing leafy greens as well?
No, 100% is mainly microgreens. Just something with the aquaponics was that I realized in order to scale, I needed a lot more cash, and I didn't have the cash. So I was like, all right, I need cash flow, and I don't have enough cash to invest. So I started with microgreens, like, and that's, after, getting really inspired by that video and getting it down. And I was like, all right, I'm confident to go. And after that, I was like, oh, this is not too bad. I could do this, I could do this every week, and I just started growing every week and getting my little systems down. And yeah, microgreens is it's just quick. That's the gate. It's definitely, I see it as kind of like a gateway to other businesses. But yeah, that's why I kind of started it first.
Definitely. So you said you've sold at farmers markets before, right?
Yeah, I just kind of started about a month and a half ago.
Okay. How are you liking that?
It's cool. I actually really like, my favorite part is just the people. People show me so much love. They like come. I got like a group of people, like a handful of people that come every week and they just point at me like, one box radish, one box broccoli. And like, I just love that, like they come every week for the greens and they come excited, and I just really like just the engagement with people, and it's a lot of positivity and good vibes. So that's why I like going. In terms of like financial, it is a good way because kind of how I've been running it was like a very, like I do like the grow to order for restaurants and stuff. So whatever extra I have, so I only grow a little bit extra. That's what I take to the market. So I usually have like zero extra. Like I try to run it like have no extra greens. I don't want to throw none away. I don't want to have to eat all the greens all at one day. Like so yeah, that's kind of how I run it right now. So I have like my delivery day on Thursday and then the markets on Saturday, and that pretty much wipes me out.
So, I actually, like I said, I started the microgreens in 2015, but it was just experimenting, finding out what catches mold, like, how to deal with humidity and temperatures. And so when I finally started in July, even before that, I kind of had like a beef with the USDA, no pun intended, with the whole organic certified stamp. And I just, I watched a lot of documentaries about what is organic, and I just didn't like what they classified as organic. So here at OarsLand, we say that we're all natural. Now we do purchase non-GMO organic seeds and from different vendors, but we never say that we're organic. Being that you've done aquaponics and that you do microgreens as well, how do you deal with people that ask you if you're organic? Because like, my software mind always just breaks everything down, just a little too technical for people. So I say, well, I do a lot of composting and I have a lot of practices like aquaponics. If you think about the micronutrients that you have to add, like the chelated iron and the potassium and all that, you could easily say, well, these are all things that are part of the periodic table of elements, but what is truly organic? Yeah, these things exist in soil, but I don't know. I try not to lose the customer when I'm explaining that sort of thing. How do you deal with that when people ask you if you're organic?
I pretty much say we're not organically certified, but these are going to be the best, cleanest vegetables. We don't spray any pesticides, herbicides. That's really what they want to hear. Does it have pesticides? No. Okay, cool. Or, and then I kind of finish it off like, one of the unique things that we always harvest it fresh, and especially at the farmer's market, like, look, I bring live trays and I just be like, look, like these are still alive. I cut them fresh and these are going to be the freshest greens you could possibly get because they're still alive. And after that, they usually be like, all right, let me get a box, and that's pretty much it.
Right. You just brought up an interesting point. So you said they're going to be harvested fresh, and I'm all about that. How are you going to deal with the freshness once you start supplying grocery stores? Like, let's just say you drop off on a Thursday on your delivery day, but your greens sit on the shelf for like 2 to 3 days. Because I've seen microgreens and sprouts in the stores, and they don't look too good.
Yeah. So definitely some of the things I would have to emphasize that we do a weekly swap. Like, we have to swap out those greens at least once a week, because they do last a week as long as you don't package them wet.
That's right.
Yeah, so like the day before a harvest, I don't water. So like today's Tuesday, I'll give them one more water today, maybe like a light watering, but then tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, they're no watered and they come out really crisp and dry. So, and I only bottom water. I never top water. So that's another thing. You only bottom water because you don't want to get the leaves or stem wet because that lowers the shelf life.
Right. What would you say is your most difficult plant to grow in microgreens? I know I have two, but what are your most difficult greens to grow, whether they cause mold or just, humidity or?
Honestly, I haven't had any problems with mold or humidity. I don't know if it's difficult, but cilantro is definitely my most labor intensive. Like, like I have a tray of cilantro here, but it's the most labor intensive. I do have to like rinse out the seeds a good amount, like at least twice, and then get them really clean. So because when you first rinse them, the water's kind of murky. So I try to get the water kind of clear, pretty much clear, and then spread them out. But yeah, and then just the fact that I have everything on a 2-week cycle, except for the cilantro is the only exception. It's like a
Oh,
3-week. Like
yeah.
I feel like it's almost like 3.5 week, but 3 week, for them to harvest. So I guess it's just more labor intensive, but it's popular among the chefs. So I've been happy with growing it for them.
How are you getting the cilantro? And maybe you have a different variety than what we grow. How are you getting the hulls to stay down? Because a lot of times we if we don't hold it under another tray with a brick long enough, it'll keep that hull attached to it when it grows.
Most of the holes are off, but honestly, if they're not all off, I'm looking at them. I never even thought about them. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I just do it the normal way where you stack it and I put it in blackout for a few days. And then they're off. Like this one, I don't know if you can see, but it might have like 10 holes in the whole tray that I'm looking at. But no, like for the most part, they're pretty clean. But I haven't done anything too special, just the normal way of kind of growing microgreens.
Got it. No, that's pretty cool because like, and a lot of times they don't even care. They'll just work
No, most of
around
the
it.
time they don't care. Some people, I have like a few people like in my family that tried it. I asked them, they're like, "Oh, I like it, like the crunch or something that adds a little bit more flavor or like authenticity to it." So I was like, "All right, cool." And I'm just gonna leave them, and no one's really mentioned it or brought it up. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing.
Yeah, definitely. So are you a one-man show or are you do you have employees or how big is your company?
I'm a one-man show, but I always imagine me myself as a big company. Like I imagine myself like all right, everything I do is like, how much time is this? Like if I pay someone to do this job, is it worth it? Like I'm not gonna pay someone, 20 bucks an hour to do something that's only making me 10. Like I have to make sure it's a scalable process, and that one person could make at least 5 times, what they're working for, 5 times the revenue. Um, so that's kind of how I design my processes. Like it has to be scalable, it has to be time efficient, convenient, and all meanwhile while never sacrificing quality. Quality is always the number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you envision this company going in the next 3 to 5 years? Would you like to have an army of employees? Would you like to be in other cities?
Um, so I was debating that for a long time, but I've been envisioning pretty much I do want to get like my own piece of land so I can do bigger projects. I definitely want to expand the aquaponic side of things. In college, I researched a lot about fish production, and I was also creating like sustainable fish feeds and doing all that cool stuff with like algae. And I really want to get back into that stuff. It's just going to take some R&D, and it's going to have some space and more capital. Um, so I envision to be a big company having selling. I want to be selling fish. I want to be selling microgreens, leafy greens, and that's about 3 years. That's kind of where I want to be at that time. So supplying, like I want to, especially like the whole aspect of like fresh seafood, never frozen. Like I want to be able to supply these, chefs that really like, that pride themselves on fresh seafood that's not frozen, to provide that direct to chef market.
Definitely, definitely. It's kind of the same idea that I have. I don't believe in for myself eating processed foods and things that I really can't like tell the source of where it came from. So that's really important to me as well. I guess I have like a general like maintenance question for you. Like, as an entrepreneur, we're always putting out fires and things and trying to find ways of maximizing our time. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel that a lot of my time is spent watering and cleaning trays. How do you, because I have bootstrap farmer trays as well. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I have these sinks and I'm like using like bleach water and soap and I'm scrubbing them. And I want to get a dishwasher for that, but I don't know if they would all fit. How do you clean your trays? Because I like mine spick and span.
Oh, well, what I do is that on tray cleaning day, which is usually Friday and Sunday, I do it in 2 half days. One for the restaurant, one for the farmers market trays. But I pretty much lay them out. I had the pressure washer, and I just pressure wash them. And then I have the racks with the wheels. I put them on there. I let, on a hot day, so it's always sunny here, so they're always gonna dry with the sun. And then I'll spray them with like diluted food grade hydrogen peroxide, and then wipe that down with some clean rags just to finish them off. And they're usually pretty clean after that. There's no sediment, no decaying matter, and I know that's sanitized. So, and I haven't had no problems with mold. And then yeah, just with the pressure washer, just saves me a lot of time. Yeah, I was doing it by hand, but the pressure washer is like, woo. It's like, it's just like,
I did that as well, and I was like, I didn't know if it would still be as clean. So you're saying a pressure wash, and it's funny because I have a friend that has a brewery, and he says that actually it's not my friend with the brewery. It was actually one of the reps at Bootstrap Farmer. I called them and said, hey, what are some of these commercial growers doing? And they mentioned the pressure washer. So I tried it once. I got like a 3,000 psi pressure washer. So I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm actually gonna stop wasting my time, with those sinks. I just got done washing some trays a second ago. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No need to do it by hand if you have them. The machine's just strong. It takes off all the. You really want to do is like take off all the anything that could decay, any organic matter. You want to just clean, because if that decays over time, then that's when you can get mold. So you just really want it to make sure there's no like little sediments or nothing. And just I give it a final wipe down at the end just to make sure, like a quick one, just like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then that's it.
Right.
I just
I guess I have a few more questions for you, and then we can wrap up and talk about some other things. Like, what are you doing as far as like promoting and marketing? Like, do you have like a YouTube channel? Are you like doing email blasts? Because I just see you on Instagram, and when I'm hashtagging, I saw you. That's how I found out about you and saw that the great stuff that you were doing. I noticed you do a lot of like, I guess, reels and stories about what's going on. And
just different things. I try to keep it fun. For marketing, honestly, the main thing that's actually been working is just I make a list of like 100 restaurants or possible business health food stores in my area. And like, all right, I'm gonna just go through this list. I'm gonna email and send them a message on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not sure which ones they see. So I send it to them on all three, which is time consuming, but sometimes people don't use Instagram, they only use Facebook. Sometimes they don't use social media, they only use email. Sometimes they only use Instagram. So I message them on all three, and I go through this list. And maybe out of like 100, I get like 5 to 10 replies, maybe if that, maybe probably like 5.
Yeah.
But a lot of those times, the people who do reply are usually already interested. And I set up a meeting with them, and I just kind of give them a little spiel, and tell them the whole harvest, fresh, free delivery, all that stuff. And either they play, and I kind of try to be like a little assertive. I ask them like, oh, do you want to place an order today? And sometimes they say yes. Like most of the time, like if they say yes, then like you got it. But like sometimes they contact me later. But most of the time, it's like usually when I ask right there and then, they're like, actually, yeah, let me get a box of cilantro for next week, and if I need to add more, I'll let you know. I was like, all right, cool. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the terms of the chefs and restaurant aspect. And in terms for like direct to consumer, I've been posting on social media. The one that surprisingly has worked the most for me was Nextdoor. Like that was like, I got like about like 5 like subscription customers from like one post. I just recently posted like 3 weeks ago. So I tried that out, and I just been using mainly Instagram and TikTok. TikTok has worked a lot too, in terms of connecting with people. You just get a lot of engagement and a lot of attention. So I've been using that one. And then I've been looking at LinkedIn. I haven't done it yet, but I see LinkedIn is like a lot of like business owners and like restaurant owners and hotel management. So I was thinking about making an account there to kind of target more of like the business, the grocery store purchase managers, all that type of market clientele, and kind of doing it like a direct like face, so you can see their profile picture, like, hey, Joshua, like we have a farm here in Whittier, blah 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 blah, and that's kind of what I'm my next steps, because I do want to expand the whole grocery store aspect, but I'm kind of getting some things in order, making sure, because when I go to the grocery store, I want to make sure it sells. So for one, I'm probably going to want to pay like a professional like packager and labeler and logo designer and all that stuff to kind of get it redone and make sure it looks like as best as possible. People know what it is, how to eat them, and it just looks pretty. You know, like so like when people look
Right.
at like, ooh, what's that? Like they grab it. You know, that's kind of the goal. I was talking to a friend that was doing it, but he's kind of just been doing a lot of other projects. So I'm probably gonna end up having to pay someone when I'm more ready to go towards the grocery store route.
Yeah. No, I mean you're an intelligent person, Joel. I can tell, and you've done a lot of research, and everything that you're telling me, it just sounds like it's going to work out well for you. I think that
Thank you.
that my approach to getting restaurants, like I have like a few restaurants that I sell to, but I literally just packaged up like I call it a vegetable pack where there's microgreens and bib lettuces and all this, and I'll just roll up on them and then try to find the executive chef or the manager on duty, and they'll look at me like I'm crazy, like, "Hey, I'm Joshua from OarsLand," and it's a lot like of waste because you visit 20 restaurants and then two of them hit your bag. It's like I'm giving away a lot of free product, you know. But the way you talked about doing it, I think I'll approach it that way. What have you found that that's better than just rolling up on restaurants saying, "Hey, try these out"? Or
I've been having half and half. You know, I started off with just rolling up in restaurants, and I still do. Like, if they don't reply, I've gone to restaurants where they didn't reply to any of my messages. I showed up in person, and then they bought. So, showing up in person always has the advantage, you know, and I think so. But in terms of, it has the advantage of closing the sale. But in terms of reaching as many people as you can and being time efficient, like, as I said earlier, like, because I can't go to 100 restaurants in 1 week, but I can message 100 restaurants in 1 week, and see what
right,
happens from there. And then I get for sure meetings from people who are already interested. And also too, what I notice when you message them online first and then go, they definitely have a lot more respect for you and how the whole growth to order thing. And when you just show up, they're like, "Oh, I just can't get some right now." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, you could, but we don't have enough, but we'll have some in 2 weeks. We can get you on the list." And you're like, whatever. Like, and he's like, "All right." And most of the time it's okay. But um, just in terms of time and efficiency, like I would do both. I'd still do both. I still roll up on people on the restaurants, but I still message a bunch of restaurants and health food stores and other places. Meanwhile, I'm doing that just to make the most use of my time.
absolutely. So it's been a great interview. We're approaching time. I actually want to give you the last couple of minutes to promote any social media platforms that you're using or anything else that you have to promote for Vitality Microfarms. So yeah, just let the world know what you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're just Vitality Microfarms. We are a superfood that kind of farm. We try to grow the healthiest stuff possible. We're located in Los Angeles, California, and that's pretty much it. That's all I got to promote.
Yeah. So yeah, one last question. Is that like a county of Los Angeles, Whittier, or?
Whittier, so the county of Los Angeles, but Whittier is a city within the county.
Ah, okay, okay.
So there's like a lot of cities, but then we're within Los Angeles County. We're not actually like in downtown, more in the outskirts, but we're still in Los Angeles County.
Nice. Well, Joel, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to take on this interview, and I wish you much success. You're obviously killing it out there. Me being I create platforms, with the software that I do, but I'm trying to get more into this whole social media vibe, and this is my attempt keeping this thing going. I'll be putting this up on YouTube as well as interviewing other micro farms and restaurant owners and people in the industry weekly. So look out for that. And like I said, I appreciate you taking time
Awesome.
out to talk to us.
Awesome. What software are you developing right now? Are you doing anything for the microgreen industry or the ag related industry?
Actually, yes and no. So like right now I'm working on so I do. Have you ever heard of Raspberry Pi and Arduino?
Yeah, I used to work with them at the farm. I had worked with an electrical engineer and we used it as a monitoring system for all the temperature. Yeah, I seen it, but they were trying to teach me how to build one, but I was like, I don't know yet. Like, give me a second. I have too much things on my mind. But yeah, I'm familiar with it and the basics of how it kind of works.
Yeah. So I come from an application / web services, websites, content management systems background. So I build databases and cloud-based platforms. So I'm just an all around like computer software nerd. But yes, as far as like the agricultural industry goes, I saw like years ago that the island of Singapore and some parts of Japan, they they had farms that will produce 500 heads, and they've got one person behind the control center. I know you've seen like FarmBot and some of these other things out there, but automated farming is like the future. So I am working on some internal systems that will allow me to do that. Like, heck, I'd like to create my own robot army someday, but not for any malicious reasons, just really for utility. So this automated watering system and seeding system is going to be one of the first things that I build for the agricultural industry. And I do have like an app that's going to help out some of the other farmers at the market, like that will allow them to sell and auction off leftover vegetables at a moment's notice. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but you know, a lot of us like don't want to have any waste. But when you get these farmers with these acres of land, they don't necessarily want to just compost it or donate it all. They may just want to sell it. So I am working on some type of like auction site for that, free of charge. You know, there'll just be like a processing fee for whatever transactions you make. So yeah.
That would be awesome. That'd be so. I see a lot of potential with that too. You know, like I would use it. You know, I would use the software. I would want automated watering, auditing, and you know, and another way to sell produce online, and yeah, all that stuff is going to be great.
Yeah,
awesome.
I definitely keep you posted on it. Like I said, I have 4 companies, so this is just one of them, and yeah, it takes up the most of my time. Yeah. So 2 of them are software related, and one of them is OarsLand, and then my wife and I have a marketing agency. She's a fashion and marketing food and lifestyle blogger extraordinaire. So companies pay her to promote their brand. So among those 4 different companies, that's what I do on a daily basis. And we have a 10-month-old, so it's like you probably hear in the background. So yeah.
How have you been marketing your company? Because that's something I've been thinking about currently, and I kind of want some fresh ideas as well.
Oh yeah, so that's a great question. So my wife, being a food and lifestyle blogger, she has like 4,000 members. She gets invited out to restaurants all the time. Companies will send food through the mail for her to promote. So like she'll like just shout me out. I get invited to festivals. The commercial kitchen that we used to, because you know we make raw juices. So we run a commercial kitchen. That was all connections from her. Actually, the owner of that restaurant owns 26 restaurants, and they want to sell our products in those restaurants. But it takes me 10 to 12 hours on juice day just to produce enough juices for my locations that I have. So it's like I have like one more guy that's my next door neighbor that's helping me. But that's how I promote, like through her primarily. And I think that I have like someone that's going to be helping me out with that. But we have MailChimp, we have Patreon, Instagram, Twitter. But it's all kind of new. We've just been like just doing our Instagram thing for so long. Now we want to just take the Gary V philosophy and just promote on all platforms, whether it's TikTok or whatever. So
I think Gary V kind of says, because I watch a lot of him too. He says to go where the attention's at, you know. So follow the attention, you know. Like he mentioned that like Twitter may not be the best spot no more, and he was like upset about it. So go where the attention's at. I know that's why that's where I got the idea for LinkedIn, TikTok. You know, it was all Gary V. He told me go on these sites. I was like, okay. It was like, let's do it. It was like, and that's pretty much what I did. But yeah, I definitely need to push out. I have trouble pushing out. You know, I have trouble with the creative when it's pushing out content that brings value to a normal person. Like, how can I bring value to someone? You know, and I try to like. It's kind of hard, you know, like it's hard to like, how can I bring the most value to someone like related to my business, you know, other than just like, yeah, it's like the health things are like what it is, but it's kind of hard. It's still hard to like do that creatively, you know? So that's kind of like, I find one of the biggest struggles for me is to kind of create that content that brings value and that's just creative, you know?
Yeah. Gary Vee also says, just do it. And who cares what anyone thinks, right?
Yeah, that's what I do. I try to post, but it's not easier said, but yeah, it's just still go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, man, I think you're gonna be just fine. And like, if you ever like, if there's any way that I can help you get your message out there, you know, if you ever have a question about software, what you can do to like cut costs or whatever, like I have no problem giving up those, you know, that the knowledge out of my brain, because I plan on doing some tutorials on a lot of this stuff. So, you know. I don't charge for any of that. So
yeah, same for me. If you have anything, just let me know. If you have any questions, like, hey, I don't know, whatever it is, what is like, what's wrong with this? I'm like, oh, maybe try this, like something like that.
Definitely. I'm gonna send you my information in the chat on Instagram so you can like lock it in your phone. And,
Okay.
yeah, we can keep in touch that way because I do want to make my way out to the West Coast someday, and someday soon. And yeah, I'd like to connect with you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Joel. I'm gonna get to it. I've got to go back out here and finish washing these trays. This is the last time I'm gonna do it this way.
All right. Yeah.
And, yeah, it's pressure washing from here on out. So I appreciate you, and yeah, you have a great evening.
You too. Have a great evening. Bye.
I'll see you later.